Have you ever been jealous of someone? Maybe your brother or sister got something you wanted. Maybe a friend got more attention than you. Maybe someone else got the prize or the praise. Jealousy is a tricky thing. It starts small. But if we let it grow, it can turn into something ugly, something dangerous. In today's story, we meet a young man named Joseph. He was his father's favorite son. He had a beautiful coat. He had dreams from God, and his brothers hated him for it. This is the story of how jealousy led to a terrible betrayal. But it's also the story of how God was working, even in the darkest moments. Let's get into it. So here's where we are. Jacob is now called Israel. He has 12 sons, but one son is special. His name is Joseph. Joseph is the son of Rachel, Jacob's favorite wife. And Jacob loves him more than any of his other sons. Now, loving one child more than another is never a good idea. It hurts. It creates jealousy. It divides families, but Jacob couldn't help it. Joseph reminded him of Rachel, and to show his love, Jacob made Joseph a special gift. A beautiful coat, a robe of many colors. Imagine the most colorful, beautiful coat you've ever seen. Bright colors, long sleeves. It was a coat that showed everyone that Joseph was special. Joseph loved his coat. He probably walked around with pride. But his brothers, they couldn't stand it. They saw that coat and felt anger. They saw that coat and felt jealousy. They saw that coat and thought, why does he get everything? The Bible says, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. That's strong. They couldn't even be nice to him. Every time Joseph walked by, they turned away. Every time Joseph spoke, they ignored him. But Joseph didn't seem to notice. Or maybe he did, but he didn't care. Because he had another thing that made his brothers even angrier. He had dreams. One day, Joseph said, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain in the field. My sheaf stood up, and your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to it." His brothers were furious. "What?" they said. "Do you think you're going to rule over us? Do you think you're going to be our king?" They hated him even more. Then Joseph had another dream. He said, "I had another dream. This time, the sun, moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me." Now, even his father was confused. Jacob said, "What? Your mother and brothers and I are supposed to bow down to you?" But Jacob kept the dream in mind. He wondered what it might mean. His brothers, though, they were beyond angry. They were ready to do something terrible. One day, Joseph's brothers were far from home, tending the flocks. Jacob called Joseph and said, "Go check on your brothers, see if they're okay. Then come back and tell me." Joseph put on his beautiful coat and walked to find them. When his brothers saw him coming in the distance, they recognized the coat, and their anger boiled over. "Here comes that dreamer," they said. "Let's kill him. We'll throw his body into a pit and say a wild animal ate him. Then we'll see what happens to his dreams." But one brother, Reuben, the oldest, had a plan. He said, "Don't kill him. Just throw him into this pit. Don't shed his blood." Reuben planned to come back later and rescue Joseph. He wanted to save his brother. So when Joseph reached them, they didn't hug him. They didn't welcome him. They grabbed him. They tore off his beautiful coat, and they threw him into a deep, empty pit. Can you imagine how Joseph felt? He was 17 years old. He was far from home. He was surrounded by brothers who should have loved him. And now he was sitting at the bottom of a dark hole, looking up at a tiny circle of sky. "Please," Joseph cried. "Please let me out." But no one listened. His brothers sat down to eat lunch, while Joseph was trapped in a pit. They were eating bread and drinking water. Then they looked up and saw a caravan of traders coming. They were Ishmaelites going to Egypt. Judah had an idea. "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Let's sell him to the traders instead. We'll make some money." The brothers agreed. They pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. 20 pieces of silver. That's how much Joseph was worth to his own brothers. The traders took Joseph to Egypt. He was gone. And the brothers still had to deal with their father. What would they tell him? They took Joseph's coat and dipped it in goat's blood. Then they brought it to Jacob. "Father," they said, "we found this. Is it your son's coat?" Jacob recognized it. His face turned pale. "It is my son's robe," he cried. "A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has been torn to pieces." Jacob tore his clothes. He wept. He refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning for my son," he said. His brothers watched him cry. They knew the truth. But they didn't say anything. Joseph was gone. His coat was covered in blood. And the family was broken. So what can we learn from this story? Let me give you a few things. First, favoritism causes problems. Jacob loved Joseph more than his other sons. And it led to jealousy, hatred, and betrayal. We should love our family members equally. Second, jealousy is dangerous. Joseph's brothers were jealous of him. And their jealousy led them to do terrible things. When we feel jealous, we need to ask God to help us let go of it before it grows. Third, our words matter. Joseph shared his dreams with his brothers, even though he knew it would make them angry. Sometimes we need to be wise about what we say and when we say it. Fourth, bad things happen to good people. Joseph didn't do anything wrong, but he still suffered. It wasn't fair. But God was still with him. Fifth, God has a plan. Even when things look hopeless, God is working. We don't know what He's doing, but He has a plan. And here's the most beautiful part. Joseph's story points to Jesus. Joseph was the beloved son of his father. Jesus is the beloved Son of God. Joseph was rejected by his brothers. Jesus was rejected by his own people. Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Jesus was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. Joseph was falsely accused and suffered. Jesus was falsely accused and suffered. But Joseph's suffering led to salvation for many people. Jesus' suffering led to salvation for the whole world. Joseph forgave his brothers. Jesus forgives us. This story reminds us that God can take even the worst situations and use them for good. He did it with Joseph. He did it with Jesus. And He will do it with you. So the next time you feel jealous, the next time you face a hard situation, the next time you wonder if God has forgotten you, remember Joseph, remember his coat, remember his dreams, and remember that God is always working. What an amazing story, Wonder Explorer. A beautiful coat, a jealous family, a dark pit, and a God who never gave up on Joseph. Next time, we're going to follow Joseph to Egypt. He's going to be sold to a man named Potiphar. And even in slavery, God will be with him. You do not want to miss it. So here's my ask. If you've made it this far, you're loving these stories. Don't miss the next one. Hit that subscribe button right now. Tap the bell too. That way, every new story comes straight to you. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends. They need to hear these stories too. Let's keep walking through the Bible together. From Joseph's pit all the way to the cross. Here's the verse that sums up this whole story. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age. And he made him an ornate robe. Genesis chapter 37 verse 3. And here's the good news for us. In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Romans chapter 8 verse 37. See you next time, Wonder Explorer. And remember, even when life isn't fair, God is with you. He has a plan, and He will never leave you.